All right, coming to you live. Your 76ers come out on top versus the Houston Rockets, and we'll call that two times. They should get credit for two victories. Final score 128-122. I'm going to have Sam Oshtry from the Score Bet join me in just a second. Look at that. There he is. Oh, you're looking lovely,
We're
Sam. Get on
live.
in here. We're live. Let's go. I told you, clock strike zero, baby. Come on, man. My baby's
What a win.
sleeping. Oh, that was a great victory. Let's go. Um, Here, let's get to it. First of all, as I said, I opened up. That's two times. They beat them two times. Houston Rockets, damn good squad. We know what they bring to the table as far as offense is concerned. Defense leading the league in rebounds. This is a tough matchup. Game one for the Houston Rockets, 2-game road trip. You were going to get the best of the best, and they were in town yesterday. Durant was up there on the main line checking out Nova. So you knew that this was going to be a really good game. And Sam talked about it today, where you have the Houston Rockets game and the Knicks coming up on Saturday. This is a 2-game stretch for the Sixers. If like, who cares? It's in the middle of January. But bottom line is, if you really want to get the folks talking, win these 2 games. Well, they just took the first one, and it starts and ends with Joel Embiid. I salute you, big man. I salute you. Keep it going. He continues to dominate, triple-double, 9th of his career. And Kelly Oubre, too, just was really relentless on both sides of the floor. A lot was happening for the 76ers throughout the course of the game. And in the fourth quarter started, they went on this terrible stretch where it got to 17-2 run for the Houston Rockets. I got concerned, but man, they battled back. A lot of fight with this team. Everybody stepped up. PG, Embiid, Oubre, Maxey, the Rook. You go down the list. A true team win, man. Hype about that victory, Sam.
This win checked a lot of boxes, and really 3 big ones. Because first, Sixers were 9-14 against the top 16 teams in the league. They had not got a lot of wins, or at least enough wins to convince people that they're a really good team against some of the best in the league. Rockets, one of the best teams in the league, one of the best teams in a really tough West. Second box it checked. The Sixers somehow were under 500 at home coming into this game. They'd been much better on the road, 12-7 on the road, but under 500 at home coming into this game. You win this game, you check a box, winning at home where they've struggled. And the last thing is clutch games. Sixers have played the 4th most clutch games in the NBA, which is a game that would sit within 5 points in the final 5 minutes of a game. They played a ton of close games, and they were 13-12 coming into this game, which is decent, but it's not great. How many clutch games they played, the talent that they have on their team, their clutch offense should have been better. And tonight it was. It really was. They were down 110-103 with around 3 and change to go, and they send it to overtime. Should have won a regulation, but send it in overtime, scoring 115. So think about that run where they were great on defense, holding the Rockets, who struggle with their own clutch offense issues, and they were great with their clutch offense, where they've struggled a lot. That 2-man game with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid was humming. An unbelievable hustle play. By the way, Joel Embiid played the most minutes of his season tonight, but an unbelievable hustle play to get on the ground, dish it to Paul George in the left corner, who sprayed an open 3. One of the better Sixers wins of the year we got tonight.
Absolutely. Could not agree with you more on that one. And a game, look, I circled. This is a really good matchup. The Houston Rockets are contenders, right? We all think about the Oklahoma City Thunder and they're untouchable, but the Rockets could give them a little bit of a run for their money. They are an absolute contender. They got great coaching, and as you just saw with Reed Shepherd, Durant, they can fill it up from outside. A lot of size down low is Şengün. Bottom line is, this is a real damn good team, and I'm excited about this victory from the 76ers perspective. Let's get to the goaltending call. Break it down for me, Sam. What is that all about? Come on.
I
It's
mean,
2026 and we can't review this in 2026. You mean to tell me they got to call it a goaltend and then they can go and review it? That's terrible. It makes no sense.
Terrible call or terrible move by the officials for 2 reasons. Number one, missing that call. I saw it on my couch. You saw on your couch. The people in the 200 sections saw it from all the way up there. You could have seen it from NovaCare Complex. Everybody and their mother saw that call, that it was one of the clearest goaltends. Not even close. Such a clear goaltend. Refs completely missed it. So that was terrible. What's even worse is not calling it on the floor for anything that's close in that situation. Because if you call on the floor as a goaltend, you can go back and review it. And if it's not, and you get it wrong in that moment, at least you can review it. If you call nothing on the floor, which they didn't call anything, you can't even review it. And that's what Nick Nurse was furious about. The fans were furious. They were booing like crazy, as they should have. And the ref kind of, the face that he was putting on was like, he knew he missed that call. He knew he at least should have called it in that moment to give them a chance to review it. So just that would have been an official's loss for the Sixers. Like, that would have been a game you can really pin on the officials if they ended up losing in overtime, because they should have won a regulation. Great job by Maxey getting downhill. It was a goaltend. It was the most clear and obvious goaltend in the world. And I don't know if you remember, but the NBA official refereeing account was all over Allah and like all of Sixers Twitter for that backcourt violation that they didn't call. Or I guess NBA officials said that it wasn't a backcourt violation, but a lot of people thought it was a few weeks ago. And they were killing Sixers Twitter, killing the Sixers broadcast, everybody. And I actually tweeted at them right before we got on. I was like, any comment on this one? But nonetheless, didn't matter in the end because Sixers ended up getting it done in overtime. But that would have been one of the worst calls of the year in any NBA game.
Oh, yeah. Look, I was looking on NBA.com, and for the running thread discussion, people were just freaked out that they could not believe that was the case. A, and then B, missing the call is one thing, but we saw it. I get it. But B, just not having the ability to go back and review it. Just because of the rule, that's got to be changed.
Well, that's why you call on the floor. You just call on the floor, even if you're not certain. Anything that's close, you call on the floor, so you give yourself a chance to review it, and then you go back and you can change it at that point.
It stops the game. So I just don't want to reward the ref or make the ref have to blow a whistle.
That was the other weird thing. I guess they thought that Ime Udoka called a timeout after that, but he didn't. So there was a whistle, and it was just an inadvertent whistle, and that's why it was a jump ball on the floor. So they messed up that whole sequence.
They did. They screwed it right up royally. Hopefully the change will happen. Somebody hit up Sean McDermott, see if he can make that happen in the offseason here now that he's got a little bit of extra time. Yeah, exactly. All right, back to the box score. Again, Joel Embiid, 46 minutes played, overtime, everything. Of course, had the night off for the last time out for the 76ers. But, came back in a big way here, 32, 15 boards, 10 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, just dominating and really putting it together down low against the team, as I said, that led the league in rebounding. So what was the big takeaway for you from Embiid's perspective? Because for me, even though it felt like he was shooting too many shots on the outside, I still felt like he's got a burst. And that's one of the things that I need to see a little bit more is like that quick first step. I saw a little more of that today. So that's one of the big key takeaways I'm taking away from this game as far as a positive is concerned with Embiid. Of course, box score victory. But, man, just watching a big man operate looked like he was really loose out there.
He had a triple-double. When's the last time Joel Embiid had a triple-double? Not something he does particularly often. He was a great passer. The Rockets were sending a ton of bodies at him, so it's not really surprising that he got that many assists. But especially to start this game, the Rockets were sending a double at him almost every single time. And what they did was they had Sengun guarding Kelly Oubre Jr. And we got to talk about Kelly Oubre's game because he was awesome too. But Sengun couldn't stick with Kelly Oubre Jr., but that's what the Rockets did. So, and they put a 4 on Embiid and used Sengun as this floater type where they were sending him and sometimes other bodies depending on where his catches were coming from. But every time he caught it, turn face, classic Patton Embiid move, he put the ball on the floor, body was at him. And it was a great job by Oubre cutting. Oubre drilled a lot of threes off of passes from Embiid, and he did a great job of forget his scoring, forget getting to the free throw line. We know how great he is at that. As a passer, I thought he was tremendous tonight. When the doubles were coming, he knew when they were coming, and he was finding open guys, and even some hockey assists that don't count on the box score. So I thought this was one of the best passing playmaking games we've seen from Embiid, where the Rockets were sending a ton of bodies at him.
I'll tell you what, that's another thing that caught my attention. A lot of great ball movement. You saw, guys running the baseline, getting rewarded. It looked like Oubre, at the top of the key, finding people that were wide open or cutting. It just felt like there was a lot more ball movement today too as well. And again, this is a high-level game against the Houston Rockets. You want to get the best of the best here. It felt like the 76ers came out with juice, energy. A lot of fight, even though they went down 2 times. We know how it comes, or how it's going to play out in an NBA regular season game. You're going to see lots of ups and downs, lots of swings in that. But man, they came back in a strong way in that fourth quarter, especially after the Rockets went on that 17-2 run, which I thought that might be a little bit too much. It just felt like they were going to continue to knock down those shots. A lot of easy shots too, oops, that they were getting at the rim. That was disappointing, but 76ers kept on hanging in there, man. Had a lot of fight in them today.
And I thought they did a pretty good job defensive rebounding too, because the Sixers are the third worst defensive rebounding team in the NBA, and they were going up against the Rockets, who are the best offensive rebounding team in the NBA. So that was a huge battle I was watching coming in, but I thought they did a pretty decent job. I mean, there was a flurry of offensive rebounds the Rockets got at the end, and KD missed 2 of those threes, so they kind of got caught a break there. But for the most part, because Embiid, that's still one thing he's struggling with a little bit, which is defensive rebounding. Even when he's on the floor, the Sixers struggle with defensive rebound. But I thought that they did a good job of kind of mitigating that strength from the Rockets. And part of that is because the Rockets don't have Steven Adams right now. So when they play those double big lineups with Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun, they're really tough to defensive rebound against. But let's talk about Kelly Oubre Jr. because he was the story of the game. 26 points. Ton of threes he was doing. This is the third game he's back in the starting lineup. He's been back for a couple weeks now since the injury, but third game he's back in the starting lineup. And when you look at the lineup metrics for the Barlow starting lineup, the big four plus Dominic Barlow instead of Oubre, they're actually really good. I mean, offensively, they're great. They have a 9 net rating, so they're outscoring teams by 9 points per 100 possessions. So they're really terrific, or have been, with Dominic Barlow in the lineup. But when you add Kelly Oubre, who's actual threat as a shooter, shooting 36% from 3 this year, which is way up from his career average. Like the last couple of years, he shot around 30%. So when you have a real shooting threat and just a better lateral driver, straight line driver, like he was abusing Alperen Sengun, who just doesn't have the lateral movement to stand with him on the perimeter. But I thought he did a great job. And when you insert him into the lineup, the spacing for the Sixers becomes so much better because Barlow he's a great cutter and he's good in the dunker spot, but he can't shoot and he can't space the floor for the Sixers. So when this starting lineup is whole and healthy, which they have been now, and it seems like Oubre is going to stay in the starting lineup, given how great they've been offensively the last 3 or so games, this is one of the best starting lineups in the NBA when they're all healthy and clicking. They just are, especially offensively. They're that good.
It's hard to argue, knock on wood, the health is the determining factor in that conversation, no doubt about it. But again, looking at the top of the box score, we know who did what. Maxey scores 36, Embiid with 32. You just went off on Oubre, but it really did feel like everybody contributed. And I just give you the heavy hitters. But even in Paul George, I know he only finished with 10 points, 4 of 9. 2 of 5 from downtown. He was moving all over the floor. He had it working. He had some really quick first steps that I thought he could continue to the basket, but would be okay with just pulling up from outside. But still, it's just these are comforting things to see as this season progresses. And, it's always been about getting to March, getting to April with everybody healthy. So hopefully that is the case, but they got to find ways to win these ball games against these really tough opponents. They lost the last time out against the Suns. Find a way to win a game here. Now improved to 24-19 on the season, 128-122 final score. They were 2-point underdogs, Sam, 2-point dogs, and they cashed for everybody who decided to take them on the money line and, of course, catching the points.
That's why it's such a big win. The Rockets have been playing really well. They beat the Timberwolves and the Spurs over the last week or so. So this is one of the best teams in the West. The thing is, the Sixers did a great job exposing their biggest weakness, which is clutch offense for the Rockets. I mean, they're 6th best offense in the NBA, but 19th best in the clutch. So they just don't have kind of a guy like an initiator. KD was supposed to help with that, and he's their guy late. He can create something out of nothing. That's what he's great at. But they still don't have this initiator. Like they were initiating a lot of the offense with Alperen Sengun, and Kelly Oubre was guarding him for a lot of the stretch late in the game and putting a lot of pressure on him as a ball handler. Like Reed Sheppard still isn't a great initiator. So they're still struggling with that offensively, and the Sixers did a great job exploiting that by really ball pressuring them a ton and just kind of making them work for a lot of these touches and a high pickup point. They were struggling to even get into their actions, especially late in the game. So credit to the Sixers all around. Really one of their best performances defensively and offensively the entire season.
Awesome victory, as you said, one of the best all season long. And now they get the Knicks on Saturday. Looking forward to that. We got a lot of comments coming in. Keep them coming. Phil's watching, shocked they didn't tee up Nurse to hand him the game at the end. Yeah, wouldn't that have been the perfect way to put a bow on the game there? Hand him a victory with the technical on Nick Nurse. Credit to him. He kept it cool. I know the assistant coach was kind of in his ear as well. You can't lose the game there. It's a terrible situation, but she said, ball don't lie. They came back and won the game. So, but if they would have lost, it would have been a situation like the Notre Dame coach who chased after the what was that, Stanford?
Michael Shrewsbury. Yeah.
That's what exactly.
I wouldn't put that past Nick Nurse. He's a guy who would chase after a ref like that.
Yeah, that would have been, and it's cool to see all of the heavy hitters on Twitter. I almost called it X. That would have been a first. All the heavy hitters in the NBA media world just saying the Sixers got completely shafted on that at the end of that. So maybe people will take notice of it. Who cares? They found a way to win the game. Kelly Oubre realized the trade deadline is approaching and turned the F up. Shout out to cousin Nikki checking in here. We like that. Brace.
I don't think Oubre is a real trade candidate. I just don't see it right now.
For what? For who? Yeah. For what?
You're not upgrading your ceiling this season, and you just want him to be in that starting lineup with that big four that they have.
Look, I think everybody's a Reed Shepherd fan. He didn't get the opportunity to prove his worth from the jump, but now he's getting his slowly getting more PT. What's your takeaway on Reed? I mean, he could fill it up. We know how crafty he is. We know how good of a shooter he is. Do you think he needs to work on something in his game from the Rockets' perspective?
I think he's a great shooter and a great combo guard, but they rely on him too much to be a one and be an initiator, and he's just not that. And that's kind of the piece that the Rockets are missing, especially when Fred VanVleet went out. So, like, Reed Shepherd's awesome. He had 21 the other night. He got hot tonight, too, at 14. He's one of the best shooters in the NBA. But if he can play more as that two guard, that combo guard, than he does as a one, which the Rockets kind of need him to because they don't have a one. So it's like him initiating, KD sometimes, Amen Thompson, Sengun. They're trying everything. And it's just kind of like a point guard by committee approach. But if Reed's playing more as a two guard, I think he's going to have a great career in the NBA. Defensively, there's still some concerns, but he's so great offensively and as a shooter that it might not even matter.
Yeah. Andrew Bagley checking in, big time win, and be looking fresh, turn back the clock. Hey, look, man, it's one of those deals where I will wear it and like get us to the promised land. I'm happy to be wrong about this, but the way he has been playing, what he looked like today, far exceeds anything in my mind that I thought we would see him this year. And look, last year I said the same thing. He was dealing with the injuries. I didn't think he would recover from all that. Maybe we would see some potential flashes of Joel Embiid. Again, I'm not trying to get too carried away, but I'm also not going to have, I don't want to pull that out and be like, well, give me to April. That's not how I want to operate here. I'll give all the praise, give all the respect to the big man. He looked awesome. 9 triple-double in 11 seasons. 9th triple-double happened tonight. And as you pointed out, Sam, played a ton of minutes. Once again, for the people maybe just checking in, 37 minutes. Or excuse me, that was Paul George. Embiid played 46 minutes, led the game in minutes played for all players. Fantastic stuff there by Embiid.
And how about Maxey? Because this guy's in a huge shooting slump right now. 9 for his last 38 from 3. That's over the last 5 games. That's 23% from 3. And this guy, to start the year, was one of the best shooters in the NBA. Part of that is because he admitted after last game, he's like, I'm exhausted. I'm really tired. And he's played as many minutes as almost anybody in the entire league. So it's understandable he's had to carry a big load, especially early on in the season when PG and Embiid weren't there for long stretches. So it's understandable he's tired. He's kind of a guy who needs to get to the All-Star break, even though he's not going to get much of a break. He'll be an All-Star, but not real meaningful basketball. He's just played so much and has to carry such a big load. So it's not unusual to see the shooting slump that you're seeing from him. But I thought he was great in the fourth quarter and overtime where he recognized, like, I'm not making anything from 3 right now. My legs might not be there. He did a great job getting to the rim, putting pressure on the rim, creating for other guys. And I mean, you saw that with that last goaltend call. Should have been a goaltend call where he just got downhill like that. So even in a shooting slump, I thought Maxey had a great night.
Awesome stuff. Sam Oshtry from The Score Bet. We also has an NBA Substack. You calling it a newsletter? What are you calling that?
Newsletter, yeah. It's on Substack, but it's a newsletter.
Okay, yeah. So the newsletter. I'll get my terminology down. We'll plug that before we get out of here. We'll take a quick preview as far as the Knicks are concerned. I have to. I gotta talk about Kevin Durant. Like
Union owner Kevin Durant.
37 years old and just flawless, just out there. You can't stop me. There was plenty of times that hands in his face, bodies on him. You're just not going to stop him. It's incredible to watch him. And I get it. It's fun to take some shot at some players, and who knows how people really feel or whatnot. But that whole Golden State's like, who cares? He went to Golden State, won a couple rings, whatever. He is by far one of the best players to pay and see year in, year out, and still doing at this level, 37 years old, man. Again, it's great to say that Embiid was the best player on the floor, but KD wasn't all that far behind him.
He's one of my favorite players to watch, who probably ever. And I actually think he's gonna age better than even LeBron. Like you said, at 37 right now, but he's still one of the 15 best players in the league. And we know Bron's 41, but Bron's game is more based on his athleticism, his downhill driving, all these other things. Like even when KD does eventually diminish his athletically, and this is a guy that also had an Achilles injury very recently too, and came back a better player a few years ago. So I think his game will translate better with age than a guy like LeBron, because he's a great catch player and just an unbelievable shooter. We know what he is as a scorer, but he can play off the catch in a spot-up role, and he doesn't rely on his athleticism as much. So and I don't think he's ever going to want to retire. I mean, the guy loves basketball as much as maybe anybody in the league. So even if he is playing in like kind of a complimentary role player role, I think he could play to like 42, 43 and be a contributor on like a good team. That's how good I think he is, and it's not slowing down anytime.
All right, Sam, we'll get out of here on this one. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, we're going to be doing a little three-headed monster here moving forward. Myself, Sam Oshtry, and Sean Bernard, we're going to be going live following a lot of Sixers games, definitely starting post-All-Star break, basically never missing a night. But we're going to get it going here. Obviously, you're just getting myself and Sam tonight, but moving forward, we're going to run it three wide. It's going to be a ton of fun to cover the 76ers to close out this year. Really looking forward to that. Now, let's talk quickly about the Knicks. It's funny because last time out for the Knicks, they beat the Nets 120-66. Sixers had 68 at halftime today. Nets scored 66 points in the fourth quarter. That box score is ridiculous. But your expectations Saturday, Sixers get the Knicks, at home. Snowstorm might scare New York people from coming down, which is always a good thing. But what are you looking for in that game?
I don't know what to expect, because I just don't know what this Knicks team is going to put on the floor right now. Like they were so awful since the start of this year. I mean, they're 3-9 over the last 12 games, and they've had an embarrassing loss on Monday to the Mavs at home, a shorthanded Mavs team. They just got killed. So I don't really know what to expect, because this Knicks team, like, it's not just we can talk about the offense and how bad they are defensively and all these things. But the vibes were off, the energy was off, the effort was terrible for most of this month. And then they come out and kill the Nets. And yeah, it's the Nets, so we're not going to put much stock into it, but they won by 54 points. It was their biggest win in franchise history. Like, if the vibes are off, you all hate each other, you're still not beating any team in the NBA by that much. So they might come out angry. And if they're still angry and motivated, like they should be, because of how bad they've been and all these trade rumors and reports that have come out recently about that team and a lot of the players on that team, then the Sixers might get an angry Knicks, especially because the Sixers beat them pretty recently in New York. So if the Sixers play their game, which is what they've been playing recently with this starting five now, with Kelly Oubre inserted into those four, VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George, who I think every single one of them has exceeded our expectations coming into this year. When you think about it, like Embiid, we never thought he'd get back to this level. VJ Edgecombe, I loved him coming out, but I didn't think he was going to be this good as a rookie. Even Maxey, did we think this leap was going to come? Expectations for Paul George were as low as they possibly could have been. So this group, and then you add in Kelly Oubre over the last 3 games to the starting lineup, this is an unbelievable offensive starting lineup that's really hard to guard. And against the Knicks defense, that's bad, especially at the point of attack with Jalen Brunson, and then you can expose Karl-Anthony Towns in the pick and roll and at the rim. The Sixers should score a ton a ton of points at home Saturday night, but we'll see what kind of energy and effort the Knicks show.
Saturday night. They might need to bump that game up.
Yeah, there was another NBA game. They already moved to Saturday afternoon, I saw, because
it's probably
because
going
of the
to
snow.
happen.
A foot of snow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
When was the last time we got that?
Hey, I'm glad we were able to do it. I'm glad the Sixers came away with the victory, and I'm around on Saturday, so maybe we run it back on Saturday night.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Sam Oshtry, The Score. Where can people get the newsletter?
You can go to Substack at Sostry, substack.com/SOHTRY. And you can just subscribe to the newsletter in your inbox at 8 a.m. every morning, recapping the night before in the NBA. And as always, read all my work at The Score and follow me on Twitter.
Boom. And obviously, you can get everything on his socials over at Twitter. Sam, you're the best. Shout out to 76ers. I'll be back with John Marks at 10 a.m. talking exactly about that result, that ending, and the fact that the refs blew the game and could not review the call. But none of that matters. Sixers win. Everybody enjoy the rest of your – yeah, what a victory. Great stuff across the board. We'll talk to you on Saturday. Peace.